Hey everybody, I'm Tommy.
And I'm Patty.
And we are Alderman Farms.
We're so excited to be joining in a collaboration on high tunnels with Deep South Homestead
and the Grow Family Network.
We just love our high tunnel. It's made a huge difference in our gardening.
This is our third growing season inside of the high tunnel, and we have learned a lot.
Good and bad. We're going to start from the beginning. We're going to start from getting our high tunnel, where we got our high tunnel, why we chose the high tunnel we chose, and also growing in the high tunnel, the things we've learned as far as what to grow, what not to grow, and what's the best things to grow.
So come and learn along with us and the Grow Family Network and our friends at Deep South Homestead all about the high tunnel. Well, our high tunnel adventure actually began as a fencing project.
Really?
Yeah, because we first found out about the NRCS projects when we got 25 acres of goat perimeter fencing done.
Right.
And in talking to the NRCS agents, they asked us about other things we might want to do, and high tunnels came up. And we applied for the high tunnel grant program at the same time that we applied for the fence. We were awarded the fence project that very year.
That's right. And, you know, going back to when we applied, I really thought a high tunnel was far out of our reach. I didn't think we could have a high tunnel because they are very expensive.
So what was it, like 4 years?
I think it was 4 years.
And the way the NRCS works, when you apply for something, if you don't get the award, they'll ask you every year, hey, do you want to resubmit? Do you want to resubmit? And of course, we just said, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, roll it back in. In fact, funny story, the year that we were awarded, the lady called me and said, are you still interested in the high tunnel? And I said, yeah, sure. Because I figured it was that call that she was asking me, do you want to keep your application active? And I said, yeah. She said, well, good, because you got it.
Oh, and I was so excited. So very excited.
So the way the NRCS grant works is it provides funds for a kit. Various sizes, the maximum being 35 by 70?
30
by 75, I think. And it pays for a kit. Then you have to select a vendor who can meet the NRCS requirements on the kit from a list of approved vendors. So, and it's kind of a long list, and the vendors are all over the country, and we looked at several. There was some from as far away as, I think, Upper Missouri, and they would bring you the basics of the kit on an 18-wheeler, unload it at your property, hand you a set of blueprints, and say goodbye. And
that was a scary thought.
That was a scary thought. So we love to be able to give our business to local companies, and we found a local company, not like in the same town as us, but in Mississippi, near Alabama, but in Mississippi, called the Tubular Structures. And we chose them for a couple of reasons, several reasons. One, they were local. Two, because we were so impressed with the quality of the materials that they had. And you'll see some of that when we point out the features of the high tunnel, like the roll-up side doors, the roll-up front and back, the end doors are made by tougher material than just the 6 mil clear plastic that goes everywhere else. But also because they don't just come and drop it off and say, good luck to you, here's the instructions. But their kit price, including completely setting up the front end that you see here, completely, and first of all, setting all 4 corners, making sure that it's square, completely assembling the front end that you see here, and then partially assembling the back end, including the bow, and then everything else is up to you. Also, for an additional $250 or something at the time that we did it, they would drive all the rest of the 28 remaining stakes along the sides of the tunnel.
Posts. Yeah.
And it was kind of a joke among us when I saw they've got this pneumatic post driver that they drove them in. And I asked him, I said, how many of your customers that you make that offer to take you up on spending that extra $250? And he looked at me and said, all of them.
It's
Because,
well worth
oh
it.
my gosh.
Especially in the clay soil that we have here.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard because they're in the ground 3 foot, 2 foot, or 3 foot.
3 or 4 feet in the ground. I
Yeah.
mean, they're way in the ground. I mentioned that one of the reasons that we preferred the tubular structures, aside from the fact that they're a Mississippi company, aside from the fact that they actually offered to put up, partially set up the high tunnel as part of the NRCS grant proposal, but the quality of their material and the quality of the design. And the best example of that is the sidewalls. You've seen us roll up these sidewalls from the bottom to the top. They roll up on this long continuous pipe. It's just a lot more sturdy than some competing designs that we've seen that lower the curtain, the side as a curtain down from the top. With strings that run from the top to the bottom. We just felt like that this material and this design would give us additional years of service out of this high tunnel before things have to be replaced. Now, everything I just described about the tubular structures NRCS kit would have been covered by the NRCS grant. The materials, the delivery, the setup of the front wall, the setup of the back end, and putting up the corners, plus $250 to get them to drive the rest of the stakes. Mm-hmm. We did a little something different.
Yes. Well, you can always add on to your package too.
Right.
And we did do that.
We added onto our package. We got additional trusses. Mm-hmm. We got purlings on both sides inside because we wanted ours. Occasionally we get high winds here. And we just wanted it to be as bulletproof as possible. Yeah. The entry door, was that extra?
Yes, the entry door
The entry door that you see?
The small door was extra. I definitely wanted that because like today, for me just to go in the high tunnel, I would have to roll up the end or the sides. And I use the walk-through door all the time. So that was definitely worth, I think it was $250 extra. It was definitely worth that extra to get that.
Yeah. Now, because we've got a YouTube channel, we were in a unique position to go one step further. I made them an offer, had no idea, thought they might laugh me out of the room, but they accepted.
What's it hurt to ask?
What does it hurt to ask? I asked them if they would be willing to completely construct my high tunnel in return to some marketing videos that I could make for them. And surprisingly,
they said yes.
They said yes. Now
we had to pay for their lodging.
Mm-hmm, which I think was about, their lodging and other expenses, because they had a team of four to six men, I don't remember exactly now, and they would have to be here on site away from their homes for 2.5 days, I think it was. And I think that cost us $1,100 out of pocket or whatever. But I thank God every day that we had that, because it might not still be up. We're in a third growing season, and we might still not be through putting it up if we had to do it ourselves, especially if I didn't have one of those pneumatic post drivers.
Yeah, it was definitely well worth it. Especially that we've never been around a high tunnel. I'd never even walked in a high tunnel before, and so it was definitely worth it to have them do it. Now, could we do it now? I think we could. It would still take a while, but I think we could do it.
Yeah, we could eventually. Once the high tunnel was completed and tubular structures had left the scene, we did make 2 additional improvements inside the high tunnel, one of which was necessary. The other's really a luxury. The necessary one was we installed drip irrigation. It doesn't rain inside of a high tunnel, and we figured the most efficient way to get water into the high tunnel would be through using drip irrigation.
Yes, yes.
We bought it from a company called Irrigation Mart. I don't think you're required to get it from Irrigation Mart. You may already have a drip irrigation vendor, but...
Yeah, and also there is money in the grant to get drip irrigation, and it more than covered what we bought for drip irrigation.
I had forgotten that.
Yeah, and one thing about Irrigation Mart, they actually have kits. And we got a kit because we were unfamiliar with drip irrigation, just like we were unfamiliar with the high tunnel. And so instead of having to piece all those components together, everything came with the kit that we needed. So that made the learning curve a lot easier dealing with drip irrigation. Yeah. Now, when we need to replace something or get something more, we can order the different things.
We know what to get. Yeah, and they've got great customer service. And since then, we've actually bought additional stuff from them for like orchard irrigation, and then we've even bought
I have a mister for
we
my
have
greenhouse.
misters for the greenhouse that we hadn't used yet,
Haven't
I
used
don't
yet.
think. So that was the necessary improvement that we made on our own. That was out of pocket, I think. Or no, you said that the...
No, that's right. It was included in the grant.
Okay. But it's really not all that expensive, the drip irrigation, I didn't
No,
think.
you used to could get a kit for about $100. I think it's a little more than that now.
Yeah, because it has been a while. So then the improvement we made for luxury was we hung some LED shop lights inside there to allow us to work inside the high tunnel at night.
It gets very, very hot here down in the central part of Mississippi.
Zone 8B.
Yeah, zone 8B. It gets really, really hot. And with the high tunnel, we can start gardening a lot earlier. So we can beat the heat to a certain extent, but it still gets very, very hot. And so I'll be gardening out here sometimes till 9 o'clock at night, and we have the lights that we can use to see. We're not using them as grow lights.
No.
I guess we could, but we still, even in the wintertime, we get plenty of sunshine here to be able to grow.
Yeah, they're long tubular LED, daylight rated LED, and we've got, I think, 6 of them in there. We actually want to add a couple of more.
Yeah, we need a couple of more.
But it's amazing how bright the light that it casts in there, and you can work at midnight and have plenty of light to work by. Now, I can tell you this, if you get approved, the one thing that you're required to have done that's not included in the grant, you just have to have a piece of ground that is flat enough to accept the size high tunnel that you're getting.
Right.
And at this point, we also want to point out one huge mistake that we made.
This area had been used as a big garden, which we never did do a whole lot with it, but we did garden some on it. And then we used it for pigs and chickens. And so they were fed here, so you think, oh, it'd be good fertile ground. It got really grown up, and it got grown up with a lot of weeds and plants that we wouldn't want to have popping up in the high tunnel. So I had the great idea. We had to level the ground a little bit anyway. And so I had the great idea for him to totally scrape where the high tunnel was going to be. Big mistake, because I scraped off my topsoil. But I got rid of seeds,
And all that
right?
manure.
Yeah, I got rid of seeds, right? Weed seeds. But what that did was make our high tunnel lower than the ground around it. That's not what you want.
Not much.
Not much.
But
No,
it don't
not
take much.
You want your high tunnel, inside your high tunnel, to be a little higher than your outside, because you see, it gets lots of runoff water. Lots and lots of runoff water. And that hits right down on the ground right next to the high tunnel, and I have an issue of water coming into the high tunnel.
Yeah. And
So,
not only running into the high tunnel, but seeping into the high tunnel. So the one big mistake, that I said one big mistake, but you reminded me that there were actually two. One of them was getting rid of all the topsoil, which that's a wash, because we did get rid of a lot of invasive seeds that we wouldn't want in the high tunnel. So maybe that wasn't so much of a mistake. But the big mistake was not making sure that the area inside the high tunnel was going to be higher than the area outside the high tunnel, because that has caused us heartache that we're still dealing with.
Yeah, we're still dealing with it, and we just, once it's dry enough to come out here and till the ground next to the high tunnel and move some dirt away, it's planting time. It's the busy, busy time of year that we don't take time and do that. But this year, we're going to do it, right?
This year we're going to do it. Well, one of the questions we always get is it worth it? Has the high tunnel been worth it? Well, again, if you remember what I told you in the beginning about our unique situation with the YouTube channel and the deal that we made with the company, well, of course it was worth it. I mean, it cost us $1,100, or maybe a little more with the irrigation thing. So $1,500, we got a high tunnel. Well, of course it's worth it.
And honestly, had we even had to pay for the labor to have them put it up, yes, that would have been worth it too. But if we would have had to pay for the whole thing, I think I'd have got a smaller one.
Probably would have gotten a smaller one. Yeah, because I think we figured out to have paid for the entire thing, it would have been $11,000.
Yeah.
$11,000 for this entire for the entire structure. But it's certainly been worth it for us because it only costs $1,500 or so out of our pocket.
And even if it would have cost more, I would say it was worth it for one particular reason.
See that shade cloth up there? The 40% shade cloth? Patty is allergic to the sun. She breaks out when she has any exposure, direct exposure to the sun, and it just drains her down.
And you're saying, well, she's standing in the sun right now. The wintertime sun's different on me. I can take more sun in the wintertime than in the hot summertime. So I won't be standing out here long, but I'm able to work in April, May, June, even in July. I can work in this high tunnel till about 10 or 11 o'clock with no sun exposure. Well, I get sun exposure, but
no sun exposure issues.
That where it affects me. And so, gosh, that's so worth it. That is so worth it.
And she noticed that, right, the very first, it wasn't long after getting in there that she realized, hey, looked at her watch and thought, I would have already been completely worn out and had to go inside and been sunburned.
I get sunburned very, very easy. And so that we've got that shade cloth, it's made it a lot easier on me.
And the shade cloth, when we applied for our high tunnel, the shade cloth was not a requirement. It's my understanding is that in our zone in 8B, and probably similar zones, the shade cloth is actually a required part of the NRCS kit now.
Yeah, it is. And we went back and forth. Like I said, this is our third growing season on whether we should remove it during the wintertime because the sun isn't as strong in the wintertime and we have much more shade and everything. We haven't. We've never removed it, and everything does fine. A lot of people are scared to get involved with government programs, think that they're going to be controlling your life or telling you what you can and can't do. Well, there are some things that you can and can't do in the high tunnel for 5 years. Number one, one thing that you have to do for 5 years is you have to grow in it. Yeah. Well, duh, that's why we got it. We're going to grow in it. We don't have to share our food with anybody or anything like that. It's only for our use. Or I do sell at the farmer's market too.
And we do give a little some away.
Yeah, we do that too. But as far as what you can't do is that you're not supposed to get it to use for a parking garage. You're not supposed to use it for parking your vehicle and all. It's for growing. And so we didn't have a problem with that limitation. So.
And I think it's for 5 years.
I think it's for 5 years.
For 5 years, and after 5 years,
we can use it for a garage.
You can make it for a garage or whatever.
But I'm telling you what, we're not going to do that because I love growing in the high tunnel.
Yeah, and I had an initial reluctance to applying for NRCS programs at all because I thought, I really don't want to get giveaways and handouts and all that.
And then you hear all these stories that, you got to let people come on your property and all this. But
it hadn't been any of that. And plus, I had an epiphany. Somebody, I think, mentioned something to me one day, and I thought, you know what? We pay taxes. That's my tax money.
For this program.
That's my tax money I see sitting right here. And so I don't have any trouble, and the NRCS people have been great. So if you're interested in pursuing an NRCS grant for either goat perimeter fencing or a high tunnel, the first step you have to do is locate your local farm service agency, your local FSA. And you can actually go online. If you'll just Google Farm Service Agency, they have a finder drop-down box. You can put your state or your county, and you can find out where your local farm service agency is, because you got to go register with them. Relax. Don't be afraid. They already know where you are. They already know what you're doing. You can't hide, so just enjoy your tax money. Go to the Farm Service Agency, get you a farm number, and then in our case in Lincoln County, the NRCS office is in the same building. It's actually right across the lobby.
And a lot of them they are.
And a lot of them they are. So you go to the Farm Service Agency, do whatever you need to do to get your farm number, and then you walk right across the hall, hopefully, to the NRCS office and say, hey, I want to sign up for a high tunnel grant. Or whatever kind of farming you're doing, they would love to talk to you about all sorts of programs that they have available. And we would recommend it. Our experience with the NRCS has been great. Hey, we appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. We'd ask you to give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. If you do mind, give us a thumbs down. We'll take that too. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content just like this and a wide variety of content. And we want to take this time to thank Danny and Wanda, dear friends of ours over at Deep South Homestead, for putting together this collaboration. And if you'll look down in the description of this video, there's going to be a link to their channel and also to the Grow Family Network. And they're going to have a video similar to this one already up, ready for you to watch. And you may have already watched it before you got here, covering the sorts of things that we've covered about the high tunnel in this video.
It'll be so interesting to watch their videos. We're trying to cover along the same topics on each video, and so I'm very interested to see their videos to see what they have to say about their high tunnels.
So make sure you go check out Deep South Homestead's video and the Grow Family Network's video about this topic, and do us a favor, tell them Alderman Farms sent you. Thanks for watching.
Have a great day.